Picture this. The scene is a saloon. The place is filled with people. They're loud, they're energetic. Everyone's doing what you think they would in a place like this. Then walks in a mysterious stranger, and all eyes are on him. His face? Stone cold. Nothing faces him, but you can tell he's there for a reason. Looking for something.
Right?
Looking for someone.
You know Baby Kavanaugh?
There. At that table. He's got his back to you.
Thanks.
Can tell he's no pushover. He's capable, committed, and doesn't let anyone stand in his way. When they do,
Alive or dead, it's your choice.
he guns them down.
Let Red go.
All of them. Quick and clean. Like it's second nature to him. That right there, everything I just described, was the first 4 minutes of The Mandalorian.
Please, please. I have credits. Take them.
Jacta gratu. Gispi ubahasa miyokola.
Is that a bounty puck?
I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold.
As a kid, I remember waiting for the weekends just to watch new episodes of the Clone Wars series when it came out. It wasn't until years later, after watching the prequels, the originals, and HBO's Band of Brothers, that I actually grew to appreciate how much Dave Filoni poured into what is now mainstream Star Wars.
I would say for sure. There are just things that I couldn't help. Like, I had no idea when we were making Clone Wars that I would ever make a show called Star Wars Rebels, and all of those characters and all of those events and the way that I wove Ahsoka and Rex into that story really affected this one,
Narratives in the show played out in arcs. A single story could span out across multiple 25-minute long episodes. Each episode a separate act contained in itself but still connected to the rest. You were essentially watching full movies set in the Star Wars universe, exploring aspects of Star Wars you wouldn't see in cinema. Sometimes you'll be on the front lines with the clones or the Jedis or both. Sometimes you'll watch politics with Padme. Other times you'll get things like this.
I want to go back there!
Wait, stop!
The Clone Wars series may have been inspired by Band of Brothers, but it was still mostly Star Wars in spirit. From the characters, to the environments, the themes and ideas. But The Mandalorian isn't. And there's nothing wrong with that. When it comes down to it, most episodes of the show follow classic Western story tropes, and even naming a good chunk of them classic Western archetypes. Episodes like The Prisoner, The Heiress, and The Believer have their conflicts centered around a big heist story arc with a gang plot playing side by side. While episodes like The Gunslinger and The Marshal involve characters with those specific archetypes and personalities to create the central conflict. Din Djarin himself is a classic Western protagonist, a cold, stone-faced gunman who in reality has a heart of gold when they are given the chance to do the right thing.
Sadly, we'll never know.
No. We'll bring it in alive.
The commission was quite specific. The asset was to be terminated.
Cara Dune's character arc goes from veteran soldier to a marshal. Grief Karga is first a tycoon, then turned mayor.
Mando, I just want them off my planet.
Mayfield is an army deserter turned soldier of fortune who also has a heart of gold. Moff Gideon is a tyrannical general trying to collect power in the lawless frontier. Bo-Katan and the other Mandalorians play the archetype of Native Americans trying to fight back for their stolen land, while Tusken Raiders from the episode The Marshal mirror Native Americans trying to live off the harsh desert wastelands. The Mandalorian also stays true to a lot of the stylistic cinematography from the Western genre, from large wide-angle shots of deserts and towns to over-the-shoulder shots and close-ups you see a lot in showdown scenes. In essence, The Mandalorian is a Western, a neo-Western. From the long rifles to lassos to the Gatling guns and bounty hunters. It takes inspiration from genres that work, but it never uses them as a crutch. You could throw away a lot of the iconography from Star Wars and The Mandalorian would still be a solid show on its own. And I think that's what New Age Star Wars movies never understood. A glaring problem in modern Star Wars is its remember this syndrome while trying incredibly hard to do its own thing. And the result is just this mess that isn't either of those things or anything in between. Finn's character arc is a perfect example of this issue. The writers have been so dependent on reusing already established characters to drive the plot, they couldn't develop this completely new character with a completely new archetype with a completely new arc. Mayfield as a character is everything Finn should have been. The most criminal difference between the two is that Finn had 430 minutes of runtime to do what Mayfield did in one 40-minute episode. And if we are being really critical, his characterization only comes out from two separate conversations and a single action sequence. When The Mandalorian brings in existing characters like Bo-Katan, Boba Fett and Ahsoka, they're given as much screen time as the plot deems it necessary. No more, no less. You don't get a 15-minute long session of Ahsoka reminiscing about the past or a 10-minute history lesson from Bo-Katan about Mandalore. They're introduced and the story is played out and things move along. And that's what makes The Mandalorian work where so many others have failed. It doesn't need that crutch because it's already put in the effort to walk on its own two legs. It doesn't need to try to be Star Wars because it doesn't have to be Star Wars. Din doesn't need futuristic space mithril armor. They could have made every shot he's ever taken miss. The Razor Crest doesn't need to be a cool spaceship. You could have slapped the name on a horse and it would still stick. Grogu doesn't need to be a magic space baby. He could have been some baby Din found after a rich family got gunned down by a band of bandits. The Mandalorian doesn't work because it's Star Wars. The Mandalorian works because it's itself, and it doesn't need to do anything more than that. And ironically enough, it's easily the most polished piece of Star Wars content since the original trilogy came out. And that's not nostalgia talking.